Thank you for joining me, Diana Master, on NMH at 1. In this lunch hour, we will highlight the news making headlines in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the news headlines. Motorists urged to be cautious amid Walvis Bay sandstorm. NHE hands over 33 houses in Tsandi. New chief for Shambyu community. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com or DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 in Namibia. Midday news update coming right up. A head-on collision involving a truck and bakkie was reported this morning on B2 in the vicinity of the Arandis turnoff amid heavy sandstorms. Motorists have been urged to use the entrance-exit road via Kisabmund due to the B2 road surface being covered with sand. Visual News brings you local stories from across Namibia right after the break. Stay with NMH at 1.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into today's visual news, Minister of Urban and Rural Development Erastus Utoni has applauded the Tsandi leadership, indicating that they are dedicated in making the provision of housing available. Utoni, who was speaking at the official handover of 33 houses constructed through the National Housing Enterprise at Tsandi, said that he is aware of the cost of houses falling out of friction of many people, and middle-income people are struggling to access affordable housing. He further pleaded for stakeholders to assist NHE in providing affordable housing. Speaking at the event, NHE Board Chairperson Tosca Sem called on local authorities to avail affordable land to NHE at reasonable prices, as they will reap the benefits of the development through the payment of rates and taxes for generations to come. Let's have a look.
Just last year, in October, we handed over 81 houses in Utapi. Last month, I also learned while I was in Okahao that 70 houses project in Okahao will soon be completed. Clearly, the teams here are very dedicated to make the provision of housing a reality, which make me happy to always come here and witness the result of our collective efforts. I thus appreciate and applaud the fact that you are putting in time and effort as we drive the housing agenda of our community or the government. I'm aware of the cost of houses falling out of reach of many of our people, and that those in the category of middle to low income are really struggling to access affordable housing. This is why I continuously keep on calling all role players to bring their part on board. It is only when the land is reasonably priced by local authorities that low-income groups will subsequently be able to afford houses constructed by NHE.
Are seeking for affordable shelter from us as custodians of housing. Allow us to come into your towns, avail land at a reasonable price, as you as local authorities, villagers, council, will reap the benefit of this development through the payments of rates and taxes for generations to come. As strategic partners in housing development, we must begin to hold hands to foster government's objectives in a holistic manner. Together we can reshape the housing landscape to benefit all inhabitants of Namibia, and together in partnership, we can achieve the housing delivery targets as outlined in Harambee Prosperity Plan 2 and in our national development plans.
Getting into our next video, Sophia Munjembwe Kanyetu was on Saturday designated as chief of the Shambyu community. The event took place at Kayangona village in Kavango East region. Kanyetu succeeds the late Angelina Mantumbo Ribebe, who died in 2015. Her succession comes after a long battle in court as another member of the royal family wanted to sit on the throne. Thousands from all walks of life attended the event.
We shall continue to strengthen the support that we provide to traditional authorities in order to enable them to optimally play their role in serving our communities and promoting the development of our country. This support that we provide includes continuing to strengthen the resourcing of the community courts to enable them to operate optimally, as well as promoting the sharing of our communities in the natural resources that our country is endowed with, such as wildlife, through community conservancies, and other resources, such as fish, through the allocation of fish quotas to the traditional leaders' company. It also includes support to community development initiatives through the Environmental Investment Fund, to ensure, again, that our communities directly benefit from the resources that our country is endowed with. The government is also committed to work with communities to address the problem of wildlife-human conflicts, which cause loss of lives and properties in many of our communities. The conclusions of the recently held National Conference on Wildlife-Human Conflicts is receiving priority attention of our government, with the action plan for its implementation already approved by Cabinet. We look forward to cooperation with traditional communities as we implement the agreed actions under the Implementation Action Plan.
That was Prime Minister Sarah Kukwengelwa Amadila speaking at the event. Now, after the break, the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment. Stay tuned.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Starting us off, the Namibian Sun reports that the Namibian National Commission for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, which falls under the Ministry of Higher Education, is in hot pursuit of Higher Education Minister Dr. Ita Kanji-Murangi. This after she failed to repay money paid to her for a trip to the United States of America earlier this year to attend an international UNESCO event. Confidential documents have now revealed new details about double payments made to the minister by the local office as well as UNESCO headquarters, including how the agency has been unsuccessfully trying to recoup some of the money from the minister. Page 3 of the paper tells the story of Mushongo Makanga, age 13, from Runjarara village in the Kavango East region. Makanga was all smiles last week when he received a wheelchair donated by the Republican Party. For the past 13 years, he had to rely on his mother and his siblings to move around and to assist him to use the bathroom. He was born with a disability which affected his legs and part of his arms. While other children spend their days running around the homestead and playing, all Makanga can do is watch them as he cannot join in on the fun. He is also unable to fully engage with others because he has never attended school. On the Republicans' front page, it is reported that the Environment Ministry has issued a bid for the trophy hunting of one old post-reproductive black rhino bull for the current hunting season, which ends in November. According to Ministry spokesperson Romeo Muyunda, the hunt will take place within the provisions of the relevant national and international regulations. The individual animal to be hunted will be determined by the ministry, and the hunt will be accompanied by ministry officials. This will likely be in a communal area for conservancy. Our aim with this campaign is to advocate for the recognition of animals, specifically dogs, as sentient beings. Your vehicle is your property, but if you kick your vehicle, only you get hurt. If you kick your dog gets hurt. That's the difference. Animals are more than just property. These were the words of the chairman of the Justice for Animals Trust, Ronel Levies, who launched the hashtag Justice for Dalton campaign. Levies is also the author of the petition that calls on the government, legislators, and law enforcement agencies to act and protect animal rights, condemn the slaughter of dogs, and enforce stricter measures against animal abuse. The petition follows the alleged theft and slaughter of an 8-year-old Weimaraner in Rehoboth named Dalton and is being distributed under the slogan "Friend, Not Food." And this story is reported on page 3 of the Namibian newspaper. Moving over, according to the Algemene Zeitung, a child has died of malnutrition in the Omaheke region every 4 days for the past 6 months. The governor, Pijunga Ndate, is concerned and gathers together a task force. Some blame the government and call for action. On its page 2, the paper reports that the Alcham mine outside the southern town of Aus is gearing up for its first graphite sales to the international battery industry. Gratomic's operation aims to become unique supplier of Namibian vein graphite. Stick around, we get into the second half of the newspaper review segment after the break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Toby Jullie
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
Let's continue with our newspaper review segment. The Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform has been blasted for returning 98 million Namibian dollars meant for the Department of Land Reform to the Treasury. Commentators have described this as disgraceful. According to the ministry's audited financial report for 2021-2022, which was tabled in Parliament 2 weeks ago, the Department of Agriculture and Land Reform failed to use its allocated budget. The Auditor General, Junius Kanjeke, recommended that the Executive Director of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform put measures in place to ensure that all planned programs are carried out and under-expenditure is avoided. Irongo Regional Governor Neville Andre says the region has paid about 33.7 million Namibian dollars to 11,261 children on social grants in the region. Approximately 14,300 people and on old age grants receive a total of 223 million Namibian dollars annually, while 3,178 people receive disability grants amounting to 49.6 million Namibian dollars per year, said Andre during his State of Region address in Swakopmund yesterday. Now, the highly anticipated second desalination plant is poised to be a major game changer not only for the arid Irongo region, which is constantly grappling with water shortages, but also for the country. This optimistic outlook was shared by the Irongo Governor Neville Andre during his State of the Region address held in Swakopmund yesterday. He told regional and local authority councillors, as well as residents of the region, that significant progress has been made in the development of the second desalination plant. The Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism has one old post-reproductive male black rhinoceros that will be available for sustainable hunting during the current hunting season. Namibia Tourism Board registered Namibian companies have been invited to submit their written financial hunting offers in Namibian dollars on when they intend to conduct hunting during the hunting season. Moving over to Market Watch, Paratus announced a multi-year agreement with a global innovator and leading solutions provider of wireless communications, Ceragon Networks, to provide high-capacity wireless offshore communication solutions in Angola, Mozambique, and Namibia. This effectively combines Ceragon's world-class stabilizing technology for offshore assets with the Paratus onshore network infrastructure to give customers an unequaled service for the fast and secure transmission of vital data. After the break, we head into our economic news. Stay tuned.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's get into our economic news. As neighboring South Africa braces itself for some of the coldest winter days yet, Electricity Minister Tsandi is confident significant improvements in the power generation system will allow Eskom to handle any additional surges in demand. While the country has been fortunate to have had a relatively mild winter so far, minimum temperatures are expected to fall below zero in parts of Gauteng and the Western Cape and Eastern Cape from Monday and remain low for the rest of the week. Although this has prompted fears that the cold snap could result in more intensive load shedding experienced in recent weeks, Ramaphosa said at a press briefing that the electricity system now had sufficient room to handle even the worst-case demand scenario during peak hours. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators, also proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek. $24 Namibian dollars and 26 cents buys you 1 British pound, while 18 Namibian dollars and 79 cents buys you 1 US dollar, and you can get yourself 1 Chinese yuan for 2 Namibian dollars and 61 cents. MTC stocks are up by 5.80%. Meanwhile, these companies maintained. Local index closed in an upturn of 0.87%, while overall index took a dip of 0.77%. Looking at commodities, all commodities are up save for copper, which is down by 0.15%, trading for $8,285 and 85 cents per ton. Tunisian authorities have suspended the salary payments of 17,000 teachers. We get into this story as we head into African news after the break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
We now extend to the rest of the continent, and later on we'll bring you international news from the rest of the globe. Tunisian authorities have suspended the salary payments of 17,000 teachers and sacked 350 school principals. The move affects nearly a third of the country's primary school teachers and follows a widespread recent protest by education staff across the country. These protests have included refusing to hand in the school grades of pupils. The Tunisian government has insisted that the country's dire economic problems mean that the teachers' pay demands are unaffordable. Tunisia is facing high inflation, rising unemployment, and severe shortages of some staple foods. Getting into our next story, Nigeria has imposed a 24-hour curfew in a north-central region after more tit-for-tat attacks killed at least another 9 people. The move, introduced Sunday in Mangu district in Plateau State, followed 2 months of clashes between nomadic herders and pastoral farmers that community leaders say have left more than 200 dead. Intercommunal violence often flares in Plateau, which straddles the dividing line between Nigeria's mostly Muslim north and predominantly Christian south. Plateau Governor Caleb Mutfwang imposed the 24-hour ban on movement after more attacks in Mangu over the weekend. Movements within the local government have been banned until further notice, except for security personnel and persons on essential duties, his spokesman Gyang Bere said in a statement. Stick around after the break, we give you international news.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
In international news this afternoon, a volcanic eruption has sent lava and smoke pouring out of the side of Mount Fragadarsjak near Iceland's capital Reykjavik. It comes after intense earthquake activity in the area. Local authorities said on Monday that there was no imminent hazard to people in the region. The volcano is located in the country's southwest on Reykjanes Peninsula, which is known to be a seismic hotspot. Domestic flights were delayed after the eruption created a plume of smoke over the road connecting the capital to the country's largest airport. Indonesia's Coast Guard said this morning that it has seized an Iranian-flagged supertanker suspected of involvement in the illegal transshipment of crude oil and vowed to strengthen maritime patrols. A shadow fleet of tankers carrying oil from sanctioned Iran, Russia and Venezuela are transferring their cargoes in the Singapore Strait to avoid detection, according to a Reuters analysis earlier this year. The risk of oil spills and accidents is growing as 100 of extra ships, some without insurance cover, have joined this opaque parallel trade over the past few years. The very large crude carrier was carrying 272,569 metric tons of light crude oil, valued at $304 million, and was suspected of transferring the oil to another vessel without a permit, Indonesia's Maritime Security Agency said. That brings us to the end of our international news. After the break, local sports news.
Namibians are still safe. Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Let's get into our local sports news. Lakhia Ishitile and her guide Sem Shimanda thrashed her own 400-meter Africa record of 58.97 seconds with a blistering 58.46 in the T11 division in Paris on Sunday. Ishitile won her heat comfortably and qualified for the 400 semi-final at the Para-Athletics World Championships in France. Ananias Chikongo and Chris Kinder, T11, both qualified as well with 52.82 seconds and 52.44 seconds respectively for the 400 semi-final. The Brave Warriors of Namibia need to beat Botswana at 6 p.m. if they want to reach the knockout stages of the COSAFA Cup tournament. The Namibians have once again left their chances of advancing to the semi-final in the hands of matches played by competing countries today. Today, they have to defeat Botswana at the Moses Mabhida Stadium and then hope that Eswatini defeats South Africa at the Princess Magogo Stadium at the same time. If that happens, the final decider will be the goal difference between Namibia and South Africa. The Gravel and Dirt MTB Marathon Series, powered by Hollard Insurance Namibia, will host their 2023 Fredenau Gravel Challenge this weekend on the 15th of July at 9 a.m. The competition will take place at the Matchless Mine located 40 kilometers from Windhoek on a brand new track. Registrations are now open and will close tomorrow, 12th of July at 4 p.m. After the break, international sports news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Starting off our international sports news this afternoon, FIFA has lifted its 18-month suspension of the Zimbabwe Football Association just days before the draw for the African qualification competition for the 2026 World Cup, officials confirmed yesterday. An interim normalization committee has been appointed to run the affairs of ZIFA until elections for a new management team are held. Zimbabwe was suspended by the global governing body in February 2022 following perceived government interference in the running of the troubled Football Association. South Africa have made 10 changes from the side that trounced Australia in Pretoria during the weekend and named fit again Locke Eben Etzbeth as captain for their Rugby Championship showdown with New Zealand in Auckland on Saturday. Fullback Willie Leroux, centre Lucanio Am, and the front row of props Stephen Kitchoff and Frans Malherbe and Hooker Bongimbonambi have all retained their places from the 43-12 victory over the Wallabies. The changes were expected after the Springboks sent 14 players to New Zealand last week to acclimatise and prepare for what could be a title decider against the All Blacks in the shortened 3-game championship this season. An Italian soccer court has imposed a 16-month ban from the game on former Juventus chairman Andrea Agnelli in a case over irregularities in the club's payments to players. The National Football Association said on Monday Agnelli, one of the figures behind a failed European Super League project in 2021, was also given a $66,000 fine, the FIGC said. He was Juventus chairman for more than a decade but announced his resignation last November following a financial scandal that hit Italy's most successful soccer team. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1 and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast right after this break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Top. We bring jou
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
You're watching NMH at 1, and if you're just joining us, here are the news highlights from today's broadcast. Nigeria has imposed a 24-hour curfew in a north-central region after more tit-for-tat attacks killed at least another 9 people. A volcanic eruption has sent lava and smoke pouring out of the side of Mount Fragadarsjak near Iceland's capital, Reykjavik. It comes after intense earthquake activity in the area. In some sports news, Lakia Ishitile and her guide Sem Shimanda thrashed her own 400-meter Africa record of 58.97 seconds with a blistering 58.46 in the T11 division in Paris on Sunday. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia and beyond. Until tomorrow, stay safe and remember to keep yourself warm.